Hello and welcome to the very first episode of the AnyGames.ie podcast. You are joined by me, Gav, and my co-host, the brains of the operation, the man, the myth, the legend, that is Dave. Dave, you created AnyGames.ie. For the listeners that are just tuning in, can you tell us a little bit where the idea came from and what it's all about?
Yeah, cheers Gav. So it was an idea I had, 2 years ago when we were playing our five-a-side. Do you know the one we used to do every Wednesday?
The one out of job, yeah.
Yeah.
Great memories.
And we used to organise it. And every other week...
It was a nightmare, wasn't it?
A nightmare.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare getting people together. People dropping out last minute, whatever. And I was thinking to myself at the time, Jesus, it'd be deadly if there was a place to go to say, Jesus, we need a player tonight.
Yeah.
We're stuck. Because
this was before WhatsApp groups as well.
Oh, well before that, yeah. Showing a bit of age there.
Yeah, we are, yeah.
But yeah, so that was kind of, I had that idea back then. Then sure, life happens and people move on from jobs. The game of five-a-side disappeared, and then I think it was March this year. I was sitting there and the idea came back to me, and I was like, do you know what, the technology's there now, the stuff's there now, that I'll give it a crack and try and put like a little website together. So, you know, didn't really think, like as I was doing it, didn't think that.
It's hard to know when you're doing something like that, isn't it, to know if the interest is going to be there, because obviously when we were doing it, we had the experience of trying to organise it every week, lads dropping out last minute. I remember at one point we had one of the lads who actually had the gear, all the footballs and the few bits, and he didn't show up, so the game couldn't go ahead regardless, even if we had enough players.
You look at that, what were we thinking?
I know, yeah.
Mr. Reliable. Why did he have the balls?
In fairness, we learned from that one fairly quick, and we left the stuff on site. But yeah, at the time, if somebody sent you a text message and said not available, and it used to snowball then. If other people thought, oh, we're a couple of men short, then they drop out and they'd be like, no bother.
Yeah, actually, that was one of the big problems.
Yeah.
To have, like, someone be like, oh, gee, he's not going, he's my lift.
Yeah. It very quickly snowballed. Yeah. You know, and it only took one or two.
So it all kind of stemmed from that back then, and I would have loved the place to have gone. And so, like I said, back in March, started the website. Kind of did it as a little project sitting there to myself, see if I could put the actual website together. And I did, and it looked okay. And I was actually happy enough for this, so I said, right, grand, I'll run with this.
And was it, sorry to cut across you, was it at that point that, so you had sent us on the link, and when I mean us, I mean a couple of friends that we had in work that used to play the five-a-side, and you kind of sent us out the link to kind of get feedback.
Yeah.
How long into the process were you at that point before you came to us for feedback?
About 2 weeks, I'd say. 2-3 weeks. I'd put the site together and had a look at it. I was like happy enough with how it looked. Like I don't really have that big of a tech head. It's more of like a kind of hobby interest in putting it together. But I was actually happy with how it looked. I was like, so I sent it out to a few people. What do you think of this? And the feedback was positive. So I was like, do you know what? Maybe I'll try and run with this a little bit.
Yeah.
And I started doing things like TikToks, which I've been doing now since probably around that time.
Yeah. So anybody that's familiar with the AnyGame TikTok page will already really know Dave very well, because he's definitely the face of AnyGames.ie. He is behind all the social medias. He does all the TikTok videos. How many would you say you put up a week on TikTok? Probably 2 or 3, maybe?
It varies. I try my best to do at least one a day, and if someone posts something on the site looking for a game, looking for a player, I'll make sure I get a video out for that, to shout it out saying, you know, Gav in such and such an area is looking for a game. Yeah. Anybody can help him out. Get on there, sign up and let them know. Sometimes you see people drop into the comments saying that they can help out. I kind of try and redirect to the site, because that's where we want people to go and try and get.
Yeah, that's basically the hub for people to interact and connect with each other and get games sorted. When you had sent it to me looking for feedback, first of all, I thought it presented very well. I think for something like that, it doesn't need to be over designed.
No,
it needs to be simple. It's a simple task of going onto a forum, asking for availability for the game, or requesting additional players in a particular area for the game, as you said. And it doesn't need to be overly complicated, which it's not at this point. Now, you have said to me previously that you'd like to kind of make a couple of tweaks, improve certain areas of the site, but generally it does exactly what it says in the tin.
Yeah. Pretty much.
It's fit for purpose.
And it's actually evolved over time with a bit of feedback from yourself where we were speaking about adding the club section for clubs who might have open training sessions.
Yeah.
Looking for players, looking for coaches, or looking for general staff around the club.
Yeah, so I know myself from being involved in schoolboy football that local clubs constantly have, especially sort of this time of year, maybe not this time of year, but maybe sort of earlier in the summer, you've got things like trials and open training sessions. Clubs are running summer camps, that sort of thing, and to me it was a good opportunity for clubs to come on free of charge and just spread the word further maybe than their community, or help them reach a broader audience.
Yeah, because you could be living in Ashbourne and you're interested in getting in a bit of coaching, but there's no one in Ashbourne.
Yeah.
But someone in Dunshaughlin has a club looking for coaches, looking for stuff. It's not a million miles away.
Yeah.
But you might not hear it. Hopefully we can grow this platform into something that people can go on there and say, oh, look at that, right?
And as you said, the world's a smaller place. Everybody has cars, and you might have somebody in Ashbourne and they might be willing to travel to Santry for a game of football, or they might be willing to come into Finglas or wherever it might be.
Yeah.
And one of the images that sort of stuck in my head when I thought about the site's purpose, or AnyGames.ie, as an idea, you would have people that might come up to work or study in Dublin, and they've had to leave their five-a-side. Like, let's say they're coming up from Galway or they're coming up from Cork. They might not know too many people in Dublin yet, and their routine back home was a game of five-a-side once a week, and that was their outlet. So I think AnyGames.ie, for that reason alone even, would be great, because it's putting them in touch with people that are actually local to them now and giving them access to five-a-side game or getting involved in a local club or whatever it might be.
They might just go down for one game and then all of a sudden it becomes an open slot for them and they're involved in a new game.
Yeah.
That is one aspect, and I think as it grows, like it's got a few users using the site at the minute, which is great. But I'd love to see it grow more and more and more. That that if someone is looking for the game in Galway and they're up from Dublin or something like that, they can just throw something up there and someone picks it up and says, yeah, we have a game. There you go.
Yeah. So that's the website in a nutshell. So if you're interested, do head over to AnyGames.ie. If you're somebody who runs a five-a-side match every week and is in need of players, or if you are somebody who is looking to get involved and you don't know of any in your area, it's always a good place to put up a post and reach out to people that might be running games in your area. Also for people in local schoolboy teams or local football clubs, if you have any events that are up and coming, you can always jump over to the site, put up a post, and we will share all of those across all of our socials. So that's the website, and that's AnyGames.ie in a nutshell, I suppose. But you're probably wondering then why we have a podcast. Well, we wanted to extend the platform, and what I mean by that is we want to be able to connect those people and have people connect with us through the podcast, through the comment section of the podcast. We'll be looking to put a lot of our stuff on YouTube down the line as well, and interact with the website users that way. And we also just love talking about football.
Yeah.
So,
and that's going to be part of what we're doing here as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, as well, so we're going to have our chats about the Premier League or whatever it is, but again, feedback from anybody listening or anybody involved at the site. If you have anything you want us to cover on the podcast, let us know. Jump onto the socials, drop us comments, drop into the comments on my TikTok feed, anything like that, or jump onto the website, let us know there as well. And like that, we're on all the usual platforms. We have X, we have Facebook, we have got YouTube, which has been a bit low in activity at the moment, but that's going to pick up once we start doing this a bit more as well. So anything you want us to cover, just let us know.
And so with that, we will move on to the Premier League.
Yeah.
I think it's a good place to start. We've had 3 games so far, 3 game weeks, and we're now at international break. So who has stood out for you? We've obviously got Liverpool, who are at 100% record, currently top of the league, 9 points from a possible 9. With you being an Arsenal fan, and Liverpool and Arsenal having played last week, what do you think of Liverpool at the moment? Are they worthy of being top of the league? Do they look like they're going to be crown champions again this year?
I have them as my favourite. That being said, I do see frailties in that team, especially defensively. It's just looked like teams have been able to get at them a little bit this season. So far, I mean, it's a small sample size at the moment, so I mean, they're only going to improve. They've come off what you'd have to say it's been a tough kind of summer for Liverpool, and I mean off-field events, with Jota and stuff like that. I think there's a lot of that. Maybe there's a bit of emotion around the club, but I mean, 3 wins from 3, and they haven't looked their best, and they are only going to improve.
I think that's probably a scary thought. I mean, we can sit here and we can talk about defensive frailties, and we can talk about some of the off the field issues, and the fact remains that they are top of the league. And a lot of people might have tipped Arsenal to top the league this year, maybe to finally get over that final hurdle, but they've beaten Arsenal, and as I said, they're 100% at the moment, and that's without them playing well. I mean, you look at players like Mo Salah, he hasn't started at all yet this season. So if they're still able to grind out wins at the moment, and then you've Salah coming into a bit of form, and some of the new players actually bed in, I think we've still to see a lot from Florian Wirtz. He was probably my number one pick for business in this transfer window in the Premier League. I highly rate him, and I think he could do a lot of things in that Liverpool team. Obviously, they've made a lot of other great signings that will complement that. Ekitike has obviously hit the ground running. He looks really sharp. Now they've brought in Isak, and I was worried that they were going to bring in Mark Gay. I'm kind of glad that didn't happen, because we spoke about the defensive frailties.
Yeah, that kind of shows that up.
Although Konate had a really good game, I thought, against Arsenal.
I just think with Konate, injuries affect him.
Yeah, and he did go off injured that game as well, so I'm not sure where he's at with that.
So if they bring in Gay, that just shores that up.
Yeah.
I still keep them as my favourites, and I think you mentioned Wirtz there.
Yeah.
I think we could look at a point at the end of the season where we're looking at him as one of the signings of the season.
Yeah, I think he could be the next Kevin De Bruyne in the league.
Yeah.
That's how highly I rate him.
Yeah.
And you're not always sure if the transition can happen from players coming from the Bundesliga. It doesn't always work out. It's a different kind of game. It's played at a different kind of pace.
You just look at the kind of player, though. The kind of player you can kind of see it's not going to be...
It doesn't seem to be affecting him at the moment. I think it's not as if he's playing badly. I just don't think they're used to playing with each other just yet.
Yeah.
He did get a couple of shots away. He did look threatening against Arsenal. And I didn't have them as favourites because I thought they were a little bit lucky last season. Although they've spent really well, I was again looking at those defensive frailties where I was looking at Arsenal, and I had Arsenal as favourites. And I spoke to you before about Martinelli being the weak link, and now you've brought in Eze, and Eze can play off the left. It's probably not his preferred position, but I think he brings a lot to that team.
Well, look, I think Martinelli has gotten to a point where I think for all parties involved, it might be best if he were to get a move somewhere.
Unless, the only thing I would say there, unless he's happy.
Well, he is.
To be a squad player.
Oh, well, he is happy at Arsenal.
You've got Trossard, who's happy to be a squad player, and he can impact games. He's got something different to what you've already got on the pitch most of the time, and when he comes on, he generally has some sort of an impact. But I had Arsenal as favourites. That was until the Liverpool game, and it's nothing to do with the players per se. I think it's down to your manager.
Yeah, I agree. I text you on Sunday.
Yeah.
In the emotion of everything, and I do think Arteta at times holds Arsenal back. But I'll caveat that as well by saying I still think he might. I was all for this manager has to do it or be gone this season. You know, but I've kind of changed my opinion on that a little bit since Sunday.
The life of an Arsenal fan, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I just think if he took the shackles off a little bit, he's great at going into a game very tactically and setting the team up to play the opponent. But at times, I think if he had to took the shackles off on Sunday, I think we get a result at Anfield. If Eze starts the game instead of Martinelli, I think potential result. I wouldn't have started Marino as the kind of number 10.
Yeah,
I'd have stuck Wineri in there. He's only 18, I know, but he's. I
was very impressed with him at the back end of last season. I have to say, I thought he was actually one of your best performers towards the back of the season last year. the reason I say it's your manager is Paul Scholes spoke about it before celebrating a draw. I think it was at the Etihad. And I took that comment with a pinch of salt because I felt like he didn't feel like he had a completed squad yet. I think after the business that you have done, you've brought in Zubamendi, which frees up Royce. You've brought in Eze, which replaces Martinelli, for me anyway. Now, I know you didn't have Saka, but there's enough talent on the bench. I know Odegaard had a shoulder injury. I know Saliba went off injured. But as Jamie Carragher said on the fan debate, he knew exactly how that game was going to play out by how you lined up. Like you said, starting Moreno instead of the likes of Ranieri. And he can't really have an excuse this year to be going into games like that. But the mentality has to shift. He has to go in there with his chest out and say, we're coming here to play our football. Not we're coming here to nick a point. Yeah. Or we're coming here not to be beat. Yeah. And in fairness, we could be sitting here and that free kick doesn't go in, and we could be saying that's a good point for Arsenal. Yeah. I think it's like the first game of the season, United and Arsenal. United looked good, but you were happy to come away from that. You didn't particularly play well.
Oh, it was a take that 3 points and get out.
Yeah, yeah. So you were happy. You got the result, but you kind of knew you didn't play well. But you didn't go there to get a draw, I don't think.
No.
Although you didn't play particularly well.
I think the game state changed that. United came out in that game with intent.
Yeah, I
think Arsenal had to revert to kind of playing more conservatively in that game then, because with Mbeumo and Cunha they caused all sorts of problems.
Yeah, and I think it was a fresh look Man United, so maybe they didn't. Arteta probably wasn't sure how they were going to line up.
That's actually the best United have looked all season so far. I know it's only 3 games in, but
the first 20 minutes of the first game, and it hasn't been great since. Yeah. So what do you think a successful season looks like for Arteta then?
Now, because maybe at one point I would have shared your kind of optimism on my behalf for Arsenal being favourites, or at least in with a great shout. I do still think it's going to be Liverpool's season. Not impossible that we'll win the league. You know, like the squad is arguably the best, kind of the most in-depth squad in the league. I think it's the most rounded squad in the league. Yeah. Maybe I'm being biased and people might call me out on that, you know. Yeah. But we still have a chance. Success, I think, is definitely, you know, I'll get stick for this, like second again, but probably second.
There's going to have to be silverware though.
It has to be. Like, has to be.
A long run in the FA Cup. Like I think you need to be lifting a trophy.
Yeah. If we don't win anything this season, it's an unsuccessful season.
So, just hypothetically, if Arsenal finish second and they've really given the winners a good run and they pushed them close, but they've played good football and they get out of the group stages of the Champions League, maybe get to a quarter final, and they lose an FA Cup final.
Yeah, that's a tough one, because
is that Arteta gone?
No, Arteta won't get sacked. Either way, for him to lose his job, I think he would have to finish outside the top 4.
Okay, so we've spoken about Liverpool's frailties then, particularly at the back. Let's say they don't look as solid as they once did. For me, the reason I had Arsenal as favourites, as I said, was Zubamendi was brought in. Critics would have said Declan Rice is better higher up the pitch. So Zubamendi was brought in to give Declan Rice that freedom. But the big thing was we don't have a target man up front. Havertz is a different type of player. He's not an out-and-out striker. He kind of drops deep, gets involved in play. He's more of a link-up man, a false number 9, where Gyökeres is the target man. Yeah. So you have that now. So you've potentially got a more balanced central midfield, and you've got a target man. Now, he did score 2 goals in game week 2.
Yeah. And he made one of them for himself as well, which but looked positive. It's against Leeds, and no disrespect to Leeds or anything like that, but you know, I know look, it's great that he got his first goal, but I'd like to see it in kind of bigger games. Look, he's new to the league as well. Well, he's not new to the league because he's played in it before, but am I right in saying that?
He did. He played for Swansea.
Right, okay.
He's technically new as a starting player, let's say, to one of the top clubs, let's be honest.
I think think we covered Arsenal a bit.
Arsenal's covered. I just wanted to get your 2 cents on it, with you being an Arsenal fan, and obviously then you had the result, and it's been much spoken about, you know, whether this season they'll get over the line, but I suppose it just remains to be seen. We'll see how the season progresses.
Yeah.
So, moving on then, Chelsea. What's your thoughts on Chelsea?
I like them this season. I think they kind of look strong, although I think they were lucky the weekend against Fulham. A very bad VAR, 2 bad VAR decisions gave them the game a little bit.
I think that's been well documented since that game. I think it's...
Yeah, well, the referee involved and all, I think he got...
do you know what surprised me as well? You know the referee, Dave and Gav, who does the sort of post-match analysis and discusses the referee's decisions. He actually said the ref was wrong. And
he never does.
I can't remember a single time he's done that. He's always given the opinion of what the ref might be thinking, and if you know, you have to take the referee's view into consideration. Or there's always an excuse there. That
decision was.
He kind of come out and said, "I've looked at it all weekend, and I can't see how he's come to that decision."
I could give them the penalty.
Yeah.
Right. Although I think it hits. Is it João Pedro hits his hand prior to hitting the Fulham player's hand?
That was chaos. There was about 4 or 5
I suppose
segments of that had to go through.
We could have a whole conversation about VAR, I suppose.
Yeah, but we might leave that for another day.
But just to think that...
Bit heavy for the first podcast.
Yeah, but I think Chelsea look good. I'm really impressed with João Pedro.
He's really hit the ground running.
Yeah.
I remember looking at Chelsea during the Club World Cup, and I think he kind of came in halfway through that process. I don't think he wasn't there from the start anyway. I remember even thinking then, he looked like he's been playing in that team for a while.
Yeah.
And there was games then where they took him off, they brought Liam Delap on, and I thought the same thing about Liam Delap. Well, both of them were scoring. And then I seen Estavo, the 18-year-old, and he looks like a very exciting player. Definitely not the finished article, but there's a lot of potential there. But I find it hard to talk about Chelsea because I look through their squad and I'm looking at the players, and for most of them, I'm like, did they bring them in this summer?
I was like that today.
How long are they there?
Yeah.
I didn't know they had that player.
Yeah.
You know, and you know Rory, that does be on the fan debate, the Chelsea fan.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a lot of time for him. I think he's brilliant.
I always like his analysis, actually. I think
he's
pretty good.
He's usually on the money or thereabouts with his analysis. And he also has a YouTube channel. I tune into that even though I'm not a Chelsea fan. I think he made a point that Colwell had been injured and they were still making moves in the transfer window, and they brought in Garnacho.
Yeah.
When you think of all the players that they've brought in over the last couple of windows, they were still going for Xavi Simons as well at this time.
That's right, yeah.
And you're thinking you could probably upgrade that goalkeeper as well, and they go out and buy Garnacho and are chasing down Xavi Simons.
Do you think Garnacho will do it there?
I don't know.
He's a funny
I don't know. He was one. I don't know. I've 2 young lads, and the youngest is Garnacho mad. Absolutely loves Garnacho.
Can't switch off with the Chelsea now, is he?
No, he's not. He's not. He's actually a City fan, which breaks me heart. But we won't talk about that. But because of, I could see how much my son loved him and loved watching him play, and obviously I'm a United fan, and you see him do things like the overhead kick at Goodison, and for a lot of times he was the player we kind of looked at just to do something different, just to run at a defender, just to create something. It didn't always work. He took an awful lot of shots with very little return most of the time, but he was trying. And when I seen how hard he was pushing to get out Chelsea, now the relationship had frayed at that stage.
With United,
when he was trying to push and go to Chelsea, there was a lot of stories coming out that he was the one. He was the leak, essentially.
Oh, really?
He was the one leaking team sheets and kind of the way he behaved during this transfer window. Now, look, we're going to get on to transfers shortly. I know we've covered a little bit of it already. The topics kind of overlap, but it seems now, at the moment, that kind of attitude gets you the move you want.
It's looking that way.
That's turned me off him. So I don't know whether that's kind of, just back to your question, which is, do you think he'll do well at Chelsea? I don't know. I think my opinion of him has definitely changed. Not so much his ability.
Yeah.
I think he's still very young. There's a lot of room there to grow, but you could say that about the majority of Chelsea's team because that's their new model.
Well, I was looking at their recruitment today. I was looking at what they brought in during the transfer window, and I think the majority of their transfers were between 18 and 21.
Well, if you look how much they've generated from sales.
Oh, they're great at it.
That is their model.
Yeah.
They buy young. Like, they've got Garnacho now for 40 odd million. And it's a gamble with most players, to be honest. But when you gamble with them young, 40 million in this market isn't a huge amount of money.
If they get any length of time in the squad.
If it doesn't work out, you're selling them for the same money.
Yeah, that's it. It's probably going to break even I don't know what they brought Madueke in for, but I mean, we gave them...
Was it 55 million?
Something like that?
I think it was around that mark because I think United were kind of hoping for that for Garnacho. That was the market. That type of player, English to English club, that's what United were hoping to get. But obviously Chelsea were leaving it till the very last minute to make that bid in because, like with a lot of United's players that have moved on this summer, they were surplus to requirements and anybody buying them knew that, so they were always going to get a decent deal on them.
I think a lot of there's some talent at United, but I think the last couple of years might have devalued some of their players.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think historically United are great at selling players. I mean, you'll get a couple of big names, your Ronaldos, your Beckhams. Even we bought Lukaku big but sold them relatively big as well. There wasn't a huge... I think the wages has a lot to do with it. I think under the Fergie era, we get the best out of players, and by the time we're finished with them, they're past their peak.
Yeah,
that's back when we were winning. So it's very hard when you're one of the top clubs, like Real Madrid, for example. They don't often sell players for more than they bought them for.
Yeah, because
when they're surplus to requirements at Madrid, it's usually they're probably at the back end of their career anyway. Yeah. Like your Ramoses and your Raphaels. And
I just look at, obviously I'll use Arsenal as the example here because I know it better than most clubs, obviously being a fan. But I look at Reece Nelson.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think we got him out on deadline day on a loan.
Yeah.
There is a player who needs to play football.
Yeah.
Needs to get out of Arsenal.
Brentford.
Yeah. They took him in on loan.
Yeah.
But can't sell him because he's on 110 grand a week or something like that.
Yeah. It's difficult, isn't
it? What do you do? Like, it's
even now with United getting rid of Sancho on loan, I think, if I'm not mistaken, we were quoted as taking on 20% of his wages, which for someone who's supposedly on over 300,000 a week, thereabouts, definitely over 200,000, I reckon. It's still a bit of change for somebody who's not around the club, So
to wrap up Chelsea, how do you see them for the season?
I think they are going to get top four at least. I'd say the highest they could probably go is third. I don't think they have enough to go any higher than that. Yeah. I think it's probably still a toss-up between Liverpool and Arsenal, and I think I have Chelsea third.
With City fourth, maybe?
City's a tough one. You look at City's start. It's probably a good idea to move on to City then. City's a tough one.
They've had 2 bad results.
But they're not playing good football. It's not as if they're losing on a smash and grab. It's not as if they've dominated the whole game and then got caught in a counter-attack. It's build-up play is laboured. There's no cohesion. I mean, you're still kind of relying on a long ball to Salah. To Haaland.
Yeah, I know. They don't look like the City of 3-4 years ago.
No.
If you look at the game of the weekend, Brighton deserved that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe when Rodri comes back. He's due back soon, isn't he?
What does that say, though, about City? Because we kind of said this last season. City kind of got found out. They didn't start the season particularly great, and they did finish the season strong. So a lot of the talk was that was just a blip, and Pep would get his players in during the summer, and they'd go again. And before the season started, before the ball was kicked, nobody was talking about Man City.
No.
Found nobody was talking about Man City.
It's the first time in a few years that I can think of that no one has said City. It's going to be City.
And I thought that's going to suit City and Pep to the ground because when you're coming off the back of a disappointing season, and even when they got knocked out by a Saudi club in the Club World Cup, it was talked about briefly, but it was fairly quickly brushed over. So you thought City are going to come in now and they're going to surprise everyone. And first game of the season, you probably thought,
yeah, they're back. They're on it.
Their new signing, Reinders, played really well.
Yeah.
There's players that they got in last January who are well bed in now. I look at the likes of Marmouche. He's an exciting player. But game week 2 and 3 just
didn't happen, did it?
Didn't happen. They never got going.
It's hard to determine, like, because Spurs look better obviously this season.
What a job Thomas Frank is doing.
Yeah.
I know they lost the last game.
Yeah, that can happen. That happens. You know, you lose games of football sometimes. You know, but they do look better. As much as that pains me to say that, I like Thomas Frank. And I think he's just going to give them a kind of level of security and consistency.
They looked really good against PSG in the Super Cup, I thought.
Yeah.
And they looked really good again. Obviously, opening day of the season, they beat Wolves 4-0. But you're kind of looking at that going, well, Wolves are probably one of those clubs.
3 games in now and Wolves look like they're in trouble.
Yeah. But then to go and beat City 2-0 and never really looked like they were under pressure in that game.
No.
Fairly comfortable. They don't look as Spursy as they used to.
No.
I suppose we're after coming off the back of Ange and his style of football. Great to watch for the neutral.
Yeah, but it just didn't work in the league.
It didn't work. And Thomas Frank is a lot more methodical. He's a lot more practical. He often sets up based on the opposition rather than this is our system and we're not going to change for anybody, the way Ange was.
Yeah.
And probably the way Amarim is now as well with United.
You might move on to United in a minute.
Yeah, so just for City then, where do you see them finishing this season? Do you think they'll crack top 4?
I think they will. It's hard to look past them, you know, at times.
Yeah.
Top 4, because who do you put in ahead of them? Tottenham? Maybe.
I think, for me, Tottenham are ahead of City. With City, you're always thinking it's Pep Guardiola.
Yeah.
More than anything, more than how they're playing, more than individual performances, you're always thinking it's Pep Guardiola. He's been here before. He's one of the best managers in the world. He's won it all. Can he take this new look Man City and redefine the game like he's done before?
Well, I think he's looking at having to do something that maybe Pep hasn't really done before and have to rebuild that team a little bit.
He's there a long time now. Is it 9 years?
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody was expecting him to be there that long. So you're thinking to yourself now, how many iterations of this team has he had? How does this current team stack up in comparative?
Yeah. He's always had kind of his core players there through that time, the likes of De Bruyne.
But he's always had a core style of player as well.
Yeah.
There was players that were brilliant that didn't stick around because they weren't Pep players.
Yeah.
And now, over the last couple of seasons, he's got a number 9, which he never had before that, in Haaland. I mean, when I talk about great players that have moved on, like Alvarez just moved on, what a player he was.
Yeah.
Wasn't a Pep player. But he's still playing with a number 9 now, which he didn't do before, and now they've brought in Donnarumma.
Which, by the way, is a great signing.
A great signing in terms of shot stopping, but...
Yeah. But is he the ball playing? He's not the ball playing
goalkeeper that Edison was. I mean, Edison I think he had the most assists of any goalkeeper in the Premier League over the last couple of seasons, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And he was probably better than some number 10s.
yeah.
Maybe United's number 10s as well included in that. Yeah. But I mean, that guy could pick a pass. It'd be interesting to see if they do gather a bit of momentum.
Yeah. I think
what that style of play looks like.
I think they will. They always tend to have
what that team looks like getting going.
They always tend to have that period of a season where all of a sudden it doesn't look like anybody's beating City.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, do you know what, I'll give them 4th. I'll say 4th.
Right, we'll go 4th. I think we've covered Liverpool, we've covered Arsenal, we've covered Chelsea, we've covered City.
It's your turn.
It's my turn. Do I have the mic? I felt like I've done a lot of talking.
You have. I suppose I'll put it to you then. What's your take on Man United so far?
If you're a Man United fan right now, you can look at the situation in 2 ways. You can look at it that Amorim is in the job 10 months now and his win record is appalling. That Grimsby game was the straw that broke the camel's back. That's one way of looking at it. The second way of looking at it from a Manchester United's point of view is United have, if you take just the 3 league games, you would say there was, across the 3 games, there was signs of an improved United, particularly the attacking sense. But I would say the overwhelming issue is the central midfield. And if you're in that category, if you're in the second category, you're taking that Grimsby game as a once-off anomaly. It's the craziness of the cup, and travelling away to.
If you're going to take that in isolation, teams,
if you can take that in isolation.
Overall context.
I don't know what bracket I'm in. I think I'm probably in the latter, just because I am ever the optimist, and I want to believe in Amorim's system, and I want to believe that we are a better side than we were last year, and there's not a chance that we're going to finish 15th again, and that someday soon we'll find ourselves in European football again.
Yeah, do you think that's this season?
Not at the moment. No, I don't.
No.
The honest answer is no. I think there's scope there for us to be a lot better than we are, but I think for that to happen, I think the manager needs to be more pragmatic. We spoke about Thomas Frank being pragmatic and setting up. In 2 different ways he sets up. He sets up based on the opposition, but he also sets up to play a formation that's going to get the best out of his best players.
Yeah,
that's the way I see Thomas Frank as a manager.
Do you think though,
Ruben Amorim? If you look at United last season, okay, so 3 of our best players were Bruno Fernandes, Amad Diallo, and Mazraoui. Mazraoui can't get in this team at the moment. Bruno's been played out of position. Amad Diallo has been played out of position. I would say Diallo showed up against Burnley, but previous to that, he hadn't really shown up. Bruno has been asked to do too much. That's not his game. I think for the players that United have, if Amorim was to move to a 4-3-3 and have the solidity, like I look at Newcastle and I love their midfield 3.
Yeah.
You've got Guy Moraes, you've got Joe Linton, and you've got Tonali.
I was actually going to ask you about.
They are phenomenal. I love the 3 of them.
I think Guy Moraes is a player that would fit into United.
I think so, because he covers a lot of ground.
Yeah.
You could probably say the same for Joe Linton.
Yeah.
The man doesn't stop running. Yeah. He gets up and down the field.
Actually, just on that, do you think Amorim, with the system he plays, do you think he actually has the personnel he needs to be implementing his system? I don't think he does. As in,
does he have the players to play that system?
Yeah.
No, it's shown that we don't have the players. It doesn't matter what combination you use between Ugarte, Casemiro, Kobe Mainoo, Bruno Fernandes. Any combination of those 4 players does not work in that system. You are not getting the best out of Bruno Fernandes. The only player out of those 4 that's suited to that system is Casemiro. And the only reason he can play to his full potential is because he's not young anymore.
That's his age, yeah.
Back in the day when he was prime Casemiro, he could do that all day for you, and that would free up Bruno Fernandes to do his thing. I still don't think Bruno Fernandes would be comfortable in that position, but it would be a lot better than it is now. What I think is the ideal player for that system, I would tell you, it's Paul Pogba. Funny enough, I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, who would you play? Have we ever had a player that would play that position well? It's Paul Pogba.
Yeah.
Paul Pogba will cover an awful lot of ground. He could put a challenge in. He's tall, he's physical, he's athletic. And he wasn't always fit.
Yeah.
And he didn't always show up. But when we got the best of Pogba, he would be ideal for that position. Where Bruno doesn't work in that position, as I said, he's been asked to do too much. As good as he is with the ball at his feet, he does not like receiving the ball facing the goal. Yeah. Having to hold it up and do that turn. You'll see he'll often try flick it around the corner and get rid of it like it's a hot potato. And he's got the skill to put that through ball in a lot of the time. But he's also susceptible to getting caught in possession. Plus, when you're running back, he can't cover the ground. And he's not that good at tackling. So that's where Casemiro comes in.
Yeah.
But again, Casemiro hasn't got the legs.
I suppose when you say all that, it amounts to someone not looking like a good player. Kind of playing out of the comfort zone.
Well, what it does is, instead of playing players to their strengths, you end up displaying a lot of their weaknesses. When you're asking Amad Diallo to play that wing back position, you're putting a lot of emphasis on him walking the ball out from the back and doing a lot of defending, where he just wants to get on the ball and run at somebody.
Yeah.
Cut back in, get a cross in, do all the fun stuff that wingers do. He doesn't want to be having to track back all the time and watch the line. And
the modern winger, I think, has to now.
They do, but I think in that system, you're asked to do a lot more than a lot of systems.
Yeah.
For it does a huge emphasis on the wingers. The wingers and the central midfielders have to do a lot of the work, and what you find is it creates this imbalance where you're asking then Cunha and Mbeumo to come very deep, to get involved, to help us get out, and then a lot of the time it's just long balls. What they'll do is they'll play it out to one of the fullbacks, and they'll try that ball as quick as they can to release Mbeumo, particularly if the opposition's playing a high line. You know, Mbeumo has the pace, and if you looked at it in the Burnley game, that's what they were trying. In the first couple of games, they were trying to get it to Cunha as quick as possible, and relying on him then for his individual brilliance. It's nothing to do with the system; it's the players.
Yeah.
So the players have gotten better, which means we look better than we did naturally, but the system's still not working for me.
For me, looking at United this season, I think they're going to have to rely on individuals a lot, and a lot of their results are probably going to depend on individuals stepping up in games. I don't know what that means in terms of...
So exactly like last season.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Where we heavily relied on Diallo and Bruno.
Yeah, whereas this year you're going to be looking at Mbeumo and maybe Cunha.
We've got too many similar players that's best attributes are in the same positions, and some of the key positions for this system we don't have the all-round player for that position, and that's what's causing the imbalance. That's what's making us soft in the middle. If I was to compare United to somebody's physique, you've got massive biceps, shoulders,
skip leg day,
big chest. You've got big quads, right? So defensively, I think we're all right. We've got nice big calves, nice big quads, but we've no calves, and we have a big bear belly, big soft bear belly. That's my analogy for United in comparison to somebody's physique. You've got the mirror muscles. You can wear the tight t-shirt and show everybody your biceps. But you're probably sucking your stomach in as you're walking through the bar.
You need a corset.
You need a corset. Exactly.
I suppose then to wrap up United, two things I want to ask you real quick then, how you see success for the season, a successful season for United, and also just we didn't even touch on Sesko.
No, we didn't, because Amorim hasn't really touched on Sesko. If I'm being honest.
That's true. Yeah. And then I suppose then what does success look like?
For me, it's European football again. It's the top half of the table. I wouldn't mind if it was the conference, but just an improvement and a couple of away days to look forward to.
Well, you look at that Conference League, and as much as you might say, it's a Mickey Mouse Cup,
I think it holds more merit now.
It's a very winnable competition for, I'd say, nearly any Premier League team. Well,
the introduction of the Conference League has given merit to the Europa League that it didn't have before.
Yeah, maybe.
If you look at how United and Tottenham, obviously they were both having terrible seasons last season, so they were clinging on for dear life for a bit of silverware.
Yeah.
But I actually think that wasn't just last year. I think it's been building since the Conference League came in, particularly for clubs. Now, don't put United in this category, but if you look at the likes of Crystal Palace and your West Hams in the last couple of seasons, I think there's a lot more merit in the second and third tier European competitions now that there wasn't there before. It was kind of...
As an Arsenal fan, I'd love us to even win one of them.
Yeah.
Do you know, because we're crying out for a European trophy. I have been since we last... When was the Cup? The Cup doesn't even exist anymore, the Cup Winners' Cup. That was the last European trophy we won.
I think a lot of that is to do with there not being a consistent top six anymore.
That's true as well.
Because if you were part of that top six for a long time, if you finished outside the top four and you were in the Europa League, you were thinking to yourself,
that's terrible. I'd
rather just not be in it, focus on the league.
That was the thing. Now it's like, I want to win this thing.
This is going to guarantee me, if we win this, you're kind of looking at the clubs that are in it and the clubs that are getting knocked out along the way, and the longer you stay in it, you're thinking, also, this could be an avenue in, especially if like last season where you're Tottenham, or United, and you're nowhere near that top 4 position. You're thinking this is a shot to get back into the Champions League, and that's how it worked out for Tottenham.
I was just about to say that, like, it's because you're not guaranteed your league position anymore. It's definitely a gateway back to the Champions League if you're not going to finish in your top 4, which no one's guaranteed now.
No disrespect to any other of the fans we might have from other teams in the Premier League, but there's only 2 other teams that I'm going to ask you to cover before we move on. That is Newcastle and Aston Villa, because they're probably the more recent teams in the top 6, if you want to call it that, those that were pushing for Champions League places. Well, both of them have really good managers, I have to say. You would say that up until probably the back end of the transfer window, things didn't look like they were going to improve for either of them, that they weren't going to get the players that they wanted. Where do you see Newcastle and Aston Villa, and do you see them pushing for those top 4 positions?
No. Well, maybe Newcastle. I don't see it with Villa. They've had a really bad start to the season. I think they're the only team without a goal. I think I saw something about that today. The only team who haven't scored yet.
That is, I'm just going to look at the league table. Goals against and goals for. They have 0 goals here, correct?
Yeah. So I think they're going to struggle. They lost a couple of good players as well, didn't they, in the window? Jacob Ramsey.
They did.
Actually gone to the other club that we're going to discuss, Newcastle.
Yeah, it was a Ramsey, and then they lost Bailey. Didn't they lose Bailey? Leon Bailey as well.
So I think Villa will struggle. I think mid-table for Villa.
Okay.
Newcastle, European football.
Do you think they'll have a bit of a hangover from losing Isak? Do you think
so.
Wissa will hit the ground running?
I think they'll struggle initially. Although I don't know. I think the rot was in there now with Isak that needed to go. As much as it was a painful thing for Newcastle fans and for the club in general, the toxic situation that happened there, that wouldn't have gone away had Isak not had his transfer. And I think that would probably have made their season worse. Because I think you'd be looking at a player who either would throw his toys out of the pram, which he proved he was willing to do, and not perform to the level he would be expected to. I don't know. Newcastle interests me, actually, this season.
We'll come back to the teams and the predictions shortly, but I think that's a nice segue into the transfer market. So we'll start with the elephant in the room, which is Alexander Isak. He, by all accounts, threw his toys out of the pram. That kind of attitude and those actions that he took proved to pay dividends.
Did.
And he got the move that he wanted. Similar, but maybe to a lesser extent, with Wissa as well, going the other way to Newcastle.
It's been a bit of a thing in this transfer window. Even Gyökeres did it.
Gyökeres did it, but it wasn't talked about like it is. It wasn't as high profile, I don't think, because the deal got done a lot quicker. It didn't seem to drag out. I suppose we won't spend too much time talking about, is it the right way to be, or is it the...
Because I think the general consensus is no. It's effective.
And we don't always know what goes on behind the scenes.
That's true.
There's a lot of talk of gentleman's agreement that if a certain number came in, that they'd be allowed to go.
Actually, it's a funny thing you say about gentleman's agreement. Both Isak and Gyökeres said the same thing.
Yeah, it seems to be a common theme, particularly in this market anyway. Do you think after all of that and the dust has settled on, I suppose, the circus that was happening in the background with Isak, do you think that he'll actually be successful and improve this current Liverpool squad?
Yeah, I think so. The quality of the player will inevitably improve that team. But do wonder, can he stay injury free? Again, he's another player who I think he missed not in one big chunk, but I think he missed a fair amount of games last season for Newcastle.
Do you think he will play instead of Ekitike, or do you think alongside Ekitike? Because from what I've seen from Ekitike, he's very versatile. And I would probably, if you're going to play both of them, let's say, who gets dropped? Who misses out? Is it Gakpo? Is it...
You'd be harsh on Gakpo.
I actually quite rate him, but he's never been... Liverpool fans might tell me otherwise, but anytime I've seen Liverpool, I don't always get the impression that Gakpo is a guaranteed starter, a bit like Jota.
Yeah.
He seemed a bit more of a rotational player.
Might be a good impact player. I think if you're asking me now, I'd say you don't drop Ekitike, and you definitely don't not put Isak in. So I think the only player.
And you never drop Mo Salah.
And you don't drop
regardless of form.
Yeah, because he just crops up out of nowhere with a goal.
like he did on the opening day of the season.
You can't drop Mo Salah. Although I've heard people calling for it.
How long does it go with his current form before the rumblings get louder?
Yeah, that's interesting.
How long does... See, this is what I was wondering about Pep as well. When you've got the trophy cabinet, when you've got the stats, all the accolades, it buys you time. Of course it does. How long does Mo Salah get playing the way he's playing at the moment? He's not terrible, but he set himself very high standards.
Oh, yeah.
And he's done it consistently. So when he's consistently inconsistent...
It's down to slot, I suppose, isn't it? Like,
I suppose Liverpool fans would probably be the best to answer that.
Yeah,
because they're gonna feel some type of way, and usually the pressure in those decisions comes from the fans.
Yeah,
it comes from the feeling in the stadium. It comes from.
So if any Liverpool fans are listening,
feel free to get involved.
How long does? Let us know what you think. I would be really interested to get the Liverpool fans' take on it.
And I'd love to know as well, with Isak coming in, who loses out there, who's losing the spot. To me, I kind of went with Gakpo because I never really felt like he was a consistent part of the starting 11. I thought he was a bit rotational depending on who they were playing. I hadn't thought of it that way until you just said it, and it's like he is the only one. If you're going to keep Ekitike and put Isak in, Gakpo is the only one who has to give away. So two questions: how long do you give Salah? And secondly, who loses out with Isak coming in? If you want to get your thoughts in there, be interested to find out what the Liverpool fans take on that one.
Do you want to move on to, I suppose, with a look at maybe wrapping it up, going with a few predictions for the season?
Predictions, right. So with predictions then we will start with,
I
suppose we start with relegation. The relegation zone. Who's going down, Dave?
For me, and it's early days, but I'm going to say West Ham are going to go. Right.
Even after the 3-0?
Yep.
Okay.
Right. I think they might struggle.
Yeah.
We're not going to lose like that. We're not going to lose all three of the promoted teams this season, I think. I think Leeds will be valiant in the league, play some nice football. I feel like there's a book coming. But I think they might go down. When I looked at them against Arsenal, unless they can find a way to adapt, they tried to go at it and they got beaten 5-0.
And you're just after been talking to me mate Ross there, who's a Leeds fan as well. He's not going to be happy with you saying that now.
Be happy with me, but no. And then I think Sunderland are going to stay up.
I think of the three.
I think Burnley.
I think of the three that have come up for me, Sunderland are the most likely to stay up.
Yeah. Do you know what? I'm going to go Wolves. Wolves for the third one. So West Ham, Wolves, and Leeds.
Okay.
How about yourself?
For me, I think Wolves are definitely there. Obviously, they're bottom of the league right now. With the other teams that you've mentioned, your likes of your Leeds, the likes of your West Hams, they do have a couple of players that you think can just get them over the line. Like, you've got Jared Bowen, you've got Paqueta, you've got a couple of players there that have the Premier League experience that I think might keep them in the league. So I'm not putting West Ham in there, but I don't think Wolves have them players really. I'm going to say my three will be Wolves, Burnley, and I think you're right. I think it's going to go. I think I'm going to go Leeds as well. Unfortunately, I think haven't looked great. It's kind of the same old Leeds. You kind of nearly know what you're getting from them, but when they're trying to change the game and bring on Harrison, and you're thinking, am I looking at the same Leeds from 3 years ago? Like, they haven't. Yeah. They don't look like they've evolved too much.
No,
they're not bringing really anything new to the table.
They're doing it a little bit better, but
slightly better. Yeah, if you get better players, you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it better, but I just don't think they'll have enough.
No.
So, And I do. I think you're right about Sunderland. I think Sunderland stay up.
I suppose then I'll ask you European places. So top 4.
Top 4.
Or top 5. Oh, well, it depends now, doesn't it? That was the coefficient last year, wasn't it? For the top
yeah.
I'd say top 4.
You'd imagine, yeah, we'll go with the old school top 4. I'm going to say Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham as my top 4. I'm going to say I actually think Newcastle might finish higher than City. I have a sneaking suspicion that Newcastle might actually finish.
That's interesting.
I just think I have a lot of time for Eddie Howe. I think he's a really good coach, but I don't think he has the squad that Spurs now have. And although I still think Spurs are probably missing a top quality striker.
I think another reason I would keep Spurs out at top 4 is the Champions League. Yeah, that's true. But if you look at the profile of players that they have, that are very big, strong, athletic. I mean, if they can keep Van der Ven and Romero fit, I mean, I'm a big fan of that back 4. Just like with Newcastle, I'm a big fan of their midfield trio. Big fan of that. But with Tottenham, I'm a big fan of that back 4. I mean, Jed Spence has been unbelievable. I think he's one of the best left full backs in the Premier League. I think he looks like he's been playing in that position for years for Tottenham. Yeah. Just squad depth, I think, might do them.
That's potential.
I don't know.
Yeah, you could be right, and it is. Of course, it's a fair point. Newcastle are they in the Europa, or did they get Champions League?
I don't know. Did they finish 5th?
They finished 5th, so they're in Champions League as well. So it's between those two for me. I think Newcastle come in 5th, and I think they might just sneak ahead of Man City.
Yeah, it was definitely 5th because didn't Villa just miss out?
That's correct. Yeah.
I'll just do a quick fire. Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, City, because I can't put Tottenham in the top 4.
You just can't do it. Can't physically do it.
Can't do it.
Do you know how hard it was for me to say Liverpool are going to win the season again?
Well, you're a better person than me. I'll give Tottenham 5th, and they might just make Champions League if we get 5th again for the.
Do you know what? Being in the trenches with Man United over the last couple of seasons has truly humbled me. And
so we have our top 4. We have our winners then by default by going that top 4.
One last thing then, just to finish it off. Who is going to be the first manager to get sacked?
Nuno.
No, I don't know. Tell me.
Yeah, I think Nuno is not gonna last long there.
Do you think it will be for the restart by the end of next weekend?
No. I think he'll get a game or two. He might get a game if it's Arsenal at the Emirates for Forest.
Oh.
So if we beat them, which I'd like to think we will.
What's your record like with Forest? Because Forest have been fairly good against.
I'm not sure actually.
Top 6 teams. I'm going to go with Daniel Farke, I think.
Oh, yeah?
I think it's between Farke and... I think there's 3 at a minute. I think you're right with Nuno, obviously, because tensions are high. I think it's more about their relationship than it is about his performance as a manager and Forrest's performance on the pitch. Where I think coming into this season, there was a lot of talk that even though Daniel Farke got Leeds promoted, that they didn't fancy him because of his history already in the Premier League, that he hadn't got the capacity to manage in the Premier League. That he was great, he did a great job, got them promoted, but if they were to remain in the Premier League, that they would potentially look for another manager. You just get the impression that he's very close, that he's towing the line a bit, and 1 or 2 bad results, 3 at most,
they'll make the change.
They'll make the change.
Yeah,
it's hard to know. It is still very early doors.
Like the podcast.
Exactly. So we'd really, I suppose, at this early stage, this is the first episode. This is our first time recording a podcast. So I think the big thing for us is going to be feedback.
Feedback, yeah. If anybody can drop into the comments on this podcast, we'll be putting it out on the usual platforms that you would see it on. So if you can drop into comments there and let us know what you think.
Now go easy on us as well.
Yeah.
Remember, this is our first time
ever doing anything like this. So
we're putting ourselves out there. We're dipping our toe in the water. So
share, follow, and share. All that.
Are we getting into that now? Are we?
Yeah.
You've done this before, Dave. You lied to me.
Well, it's the TikToks, you know.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah. You've had plenty of time to warm up. That was your pre-season. TikTok was your pre-season.
Yeah. So yeah, I suppose, you know, if anybody you think would like to listen to this, or if anybody's interested in AnyGames.ie and what we said it was at the start, let them know. But yeah, follow, share, and drop comments in, because we'd love to hear feedback, and we'll tweak this podcast based on feedback.
If there's segments you want us to cover,
or if we covered too much, or if we went rambly, you know, let us know that as well.
Yeah, we're still trying to find our feet, as we said. It's our very first episode, and it'll become more polished and more finessed, but not scripted. We will.
No, yeah,
we won't be scripting anything. We'll have a bit of a structure, of course. So when we're asking for feedback, it's going to be on things like, is there segments that you want us to add in? Is there topics that you want us to cover?
As well, keep an eye on socials, because when we are going to record, we might throw something up on X to say, you know, questions, and we'll read out questions, and we'll cover people's questions, and we'll give answers.
That's a big thing. We want a lot of interaction with this podcast. That's kind of why we set it up. It's to generate interaction over on the AnyGames.ie website. It's to generate interactions on the forums there.
For the AnyGames platform in general.
Wherever you've connect with us, whatever platform that might be, feel free to get involved.
Because it's what we want. We want to have that engagement. We want to.
That's what we're doing it for. So
I think that's
episode 1 wrapped up. We have actually covered over an hour and a half. This might be chopped.
We might edit that a little bit.
We might have to edit that slightly.
Yeah.
We probably got a little bit excited on the first episode and just really wanted to say loads, because
we were like, oh, I don't know if we might get happy.
Oh no, I knew this was going to happen. You put Mike in front of me, Dave. I've been longing for this for years, Dave.
Mike.
You know it was spirit up.
Yeah. I suppose the only thing now to say is thanks anybody who's been listening here today, and we'll be back on the next one next week.
And hopefully we'll be reading out some of your questions, comments.
Yeah.
Get involved. We'd love to hear from you. So
AnyGames.ie, and check us out on any of the social platforms. I will put links below in the thread below this.
Good night, God bless,
and good luck.
See you.